Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Awakened with Aradia and Aaron. All right. This has been today's podcast is going to be a really interesting one, isn't it? What do you think?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
We've got some
indeed,
really
yes.
we've got some really cool things that I want to cover. There's been a project you've been working on for a little while. You've had a job. I really want to talk about that. And then I want to kind of do a little bit of a deep dive. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but a deep dive in how our lives are in the current climate of our own chaos, and the chaos around us. So I want to kind of touch about that a little bit. But for those of you that do not know, Aradia has been working on a little project for a while now. This has been a project close to her heart, and it has come to fruition. I saw it drop yesterday. I think it's incredible. It's deep and it cuts. Like the emotion behind it, like I felt it literally straight away. So, for those of you that are listening and do not know what's going on, Arati is going to talk about a little project. I'm going to give you the floor. I want you to talk about it, and like obviously where it is. Give the audience the information on where they can see it, how where they can follow like the story and where this is all about. So I'm going to leave it up to you. I think this is pretty incredible. It's definitely needed in like in the world right now. I think in people's lives. So tell us all about it.
Well, I am super stoked, and Aaron, you were spot on. This project has been in the making since February, and it has been what felt like an uphill battle. And when I saw it yesterday, it was like this relief, and I couldn't say thank you, God, enough. And so it's the story of my life. And it's literally the book of Aradia, Karma's bitch, I'm a witch, back from the dead, in a
That's a cool title.
mini, it is in literally a mini Netflix type series. And my filmmaker, Caleb, his surname starts with a C. And literally, I say, CC, sees what I see. And the day before that drop, Aaron, he phoned me and he was looking in the mirror and he heard a voice say, Frank. And I said, You know whose name that is? And he goes, No. And I said, That's my father's name. And it's my father who has backed this project. And I'm so grateful because it felt near impossible to get another human being to see my vision. And Caleb has lived a life of so much trauma. Like we literally both wear the dog tags. And when you see someone wear a dog tag, it's usually someone that's like in the army or,
Mm.
and they usually have PTSD. To be honest, it kind of aligns. And it was great seeing it because even one woman said, Is this real? Is this for real or is this real? And I said, Yes, this real is a representation of my real life. So you can find it on Facebook, my Facebook page, my Instagram page, and the TikTok. And it will be a full mini series. And I'm also going to put the little each drop on my website, and there's going to be a whole page that says film. And then to go with the mini series that Caleb has put together, I am so grateful because I found a woman named Alicia, which was my previous name,
Mm.
and my middle name that I was born with, which my father gave me, and she is going to help me finish the book so the book can get published, and then we'll do an audio version of the book so people can listen to the book because a lot of people don't read anymore. Like a lot of people don't. There's going to be an e version and a hard version.
Mm.
But I think that it's really important to have the voice version, the audio book, because people can listen in and get more of the detail and they can see how I interpreted the signs to literally learning. Because I'd always known the lesson of, we disconnect from the human flesh, Aaron. That's a given, right? We all know we're going to ascend one day. My greatest challenge and my greatest lesson was disconnecting from others, like literally just allowing their stuff to be theirs, and learning that we each have our own cross to bear. And that's what Jesus carried. Jesus carried a cross. And I have a client who has a dog named Bear, and his surname has the word bear scrambled into his name, like a finder word. And I literally said that to him. I said, each of us have our own cross to bear. However, God will send us people, humans, along the way that will help us. And you already know, Aaron, that you're one of the men that helped me, as is one of my friends, Alex. And it's just that really important message for people to really resonate. And I think with a female that is usually perceived as, a strong lawyer, to see a lawyer in a vulnerable state and go, oh my God, did that actually happen to her? And we captured as many of the traumatic episodes without it being flagged on socials, or shadow banned, I think they
Mm.
call it.
Mm.
So, I'm really grateful, Aaron, because it all along it's been my story where all the lessons were, and that's what I wanted to share with the public. I never wanted to shame any of the men from my past because they were all lessons. And it's interesting because the minute that dropped is when the weight of my father dropped, because he backed it. And along the way, some of the business deals to get it across the line went bad. And this is where, you and I really want to touch on that topic for our audience on, okay, when business deals go bad, how do we roll with the punches? Because as you said, Aaron, we have to keep moving forward. And particularly for my audience, a lot of them are criminals, and their stuff is so heavy that they're facing imprisonment. And when you go into prison, you're going to go in alone. You walk that path, what feels like alone, and you're standing next to a lawyer that you feel like if you don't have the money, then they're just going to ditch you.
And that's so true though. There are a lot of lawyers that are like, well, if you can't fund my time, I'm not going to give you my time.
It's
But that's kind of
true.
also a bit
Yeah,
of that's a culture within the industry. Again, correct me if I'm wrong because I'm only seeing it from the outside. And look, I do have not only yourself, but I also know a few other lawyers as well that will do anything for anyone. But at the same time, also, like any business, you've got to make money, you've got to put food on the table, you've also got to provide for your family and do things like that. So it's a it's a it's a tough spot for yourself because I know the type of character that you are. You just want to help people. And if you can help people for nothing, you would. But that's just not the way the world works. And because you're such a giving character, again, correct me if I'm wrong, you get burnt a lot because you're so giving. Yeah. Okay. And that was a thumbs up if anyone is not watching on YouTube. So
yeah,
now,
I did.
so the project, obviously, it's called The Haven. Is that right?
Yeah.
Now,
So the association's the Haven, and it's God's project.
so where did the word The Haven come from? Like, what was the basis of that?
The Haven came because last year was the year in which I was in the darkest place imaginable. And that's where I wanted to go to return to God, meaning that's the place that I wanted to leave this earth. and we have the skillion there, and that's where we have a lot of suicides. And people, when they're in the darkness, they go there and they literally return to spirit, Aaron. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful location, that it actually should be a resting place. But I suppose if you look at it, the heaviness of their lives was just too much that they wanted to return to spirit, which is obviously not the purpose of the haven. The haven, being God's project, is to actually say, here's another road. You know, instead of literally going to the physical haven and jumping, then jump into the haven, au.org, and go in there and find others that can help you to pull you out of that dark hole, because you're not alone. You know, it's like you've dug yourself this grave and you're standing in the grave and you're about to lay down. The haven is literally like, all you've got to do is, put your hand up and say help. And, it's like the coaches of the world and the lawyers of the world that are part of that space will put their hand out. And then it's literally like, like when you meet someone, you do a deal, or when you,
Mm.
I'm old school, like I shake people's hands. And that's literally what it is. Like you put your hand up and say help, and there will be someone on the other side of that that will take your hand and say, mate, you really effing dug a massive hole here. We can help you get out of it. You, you have to be willing to kind of be dragged at the first instance, a little bit. And then, do you want this? And they're like, oh, actually, I can see the light. And you start kind of, do you know what I mean, Aaron?
Yeah.
Like literally, like getting yourself out of that hole and then going, fuck, let's get the dirt and fill that fucking back hole back up, because you're not going to die today. You're not going to go and lay down in that grave and die.
And I love the
And I
metaphor
love the
about
metaphor.
that with the haven and what it stands for. And the interesting thing is that when people are in that space, they've already, not even given up, but they've already acknowledged the fact that they need help. So there's an element of they don't need to be forced to,
Surrender.
to let go. They're already in there,
Yeah.
so they're already asking for help. So okay, I really love the concept. All right. Now, so there's a website, there's social media. So, guys, definitely do yourself a favor to jump on that. And while you are there, I want you to have a look at the drop that you did yesterday from an aesthetics perspective, the black and white, the voiceover that you did in it, the story that you told. I watched it. I'm like, holy fuck, I've got to actually watch that again. So I actually watched it a couple of times. And each time I listened to it and watched it, I'm like, this is going to be big because it's not like a story of a lawyer who was kind of like in the crim, scene. This is you from literally crawling through the fucking rubble to get to the place
Yeah.
where you're at. The work that you did, the darkness where you were, you felt like you were consumed a little bit in the world that you were in, but you crawled yourself out of it and you got all the qualifications you needed to become a world-class lawyer, which you fucking are. So I'll touch a little bit about that. Like, where did the inspiration come from in regards to the cinematic, approach?
Well, when I left corrections, and it was when I was at corrections, it was the hardest job, because I remember just coming home in tears all the time, because I was like, said to my father, these people are me. Like I saw myself, literally, I saw myself, and I thought, my problems are the exact same as theirs. And when I left, I'd engaged Ingrid, who's this amazing photographer, to take photographs of my father and I. However, um, this is where it just went downhill, and I was like, I need someone. And I was literally, Aaron, saying, God, please help me, please help me, please help me. I need someone that can make my story into a movie because just the way I was trying to communicate it on socials, um, no one was comprehending what I was trying to say because it was all riddles and rhymes, which if you read the book, you get it because the book, you're seeing the evidence and you're listening to it. However, for the average person, they needed to see it like a movie. And I'd made a call to my business coach who had been to prison, Chris Alchin, and he said, Caleb, and he said he's really expensive, although he does an amazing job. As soon as I saw his content, Aaron, I was like, he's the one because I literally needed a filmmaker. And it was because I wanted my audience to feel it wasn't a visual. I wanted them to feel the gravity of what I have been through. I wanted them to see, oh, this is a kid that went through trauma. This is a mother that went through trauma. This is a woman that's going through trauma. This isn't just, oh, this is a single mum that's a lawyer. It didn't have enough depth to it, Aaron.
Mm,
I
mm.
needed someone that could get in there and really go, this is a woman that's had three near death experiences, three names, and her whole world is crime. Like all of the, like we literally, because you've got to obviously abide by the law, right? We literally have scenes like where we've captured the sign to the prison. So people, the audience can comprehend, oh, hold on, she has an ex-partner that's in prison. Like it's, oh, hold on. Oh, is she actually a lawyer? Oh, like they, because they need to see it,
Mm.
they needed to actually like see, oh, she actually drew him into the devil. She actually went on to psychic mediumship. She actually went on and pieced together that she was part of this coven of witches from lifetimes ago. Like I couldn't just say it. I couldn't just go, oh yeah, well, blah, blah, blah. Because when I was speaking it, Aaron, the audience thought that I'm trying to think of the name of it. I think they call it a psychotic episode, like when you're losing your mind. And it wasn't Aaron. It
Yep.
was that we, meaning like witchcraft, you use links and rhymes and names and numbers because it's spellbound,
But
like it's rhythmic.
and really interesting you say that because you have a look at where people are at in the world. No one will get you. People are so locked in a box. People are so consumed by what they're told. Like literally,
Yep.
there's not that many people in the world, and I know you know there's not that many people in the world that literally stand on the meaning of sovereignty being who
I don't know what it
solely who they are.
means.
They are so controlled by everything they say, everything they do. Hence, when you speak, it's riddles to them. They have absolutely no comprehension of what you're saying. There's very few that
Because
will
they can't
understand that.
decode.
No, no.
Yeah.
So
They don't
this
know.
is, but that's intentional. And again, we'll talk about it, but that's intentional. That to keep the society stupid, to keep society dumbed down, uneducated, and in control because they're easy to control. Keep them compliant. But
Correct.
like the theme behind the reel that you drop, guys, you got to do a favor. You got to fucking drop in there. What's your
It's
Instagram
so
handle,
good.
by the way? Because I
Oh, at aradia.au, aradia.au, and that's the same handle on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. And Aaron, you're spot on. Like it's nothing I could have ever made. It's just
look,
sensational.
no, and because you're just trying to speak in just being honest and authentic and raw on who you are, no one was going to decode it. Everyone was thinking that you were fucking, there's something wrong with you, and that's the reality. Like I said, that's the reality because people are so dumbed
Different.
down, and it's like I'm not going to speak to everyone like a fucking 6 year old, but unfortunately, that's where the world is at. Like, let's be real. So I love it that you've been able to capsulate who you are, put it into a cinematic, like, reel and form, and be able to tell a story. And your story is that, yeah, you might be a lawyer, but it's not all glitz and glam. Like, your lawyer is just, again, part of the story. It's not the end of the story, it's part of it. But what made you become that lawyer? I love that starting part. I love where, you have come from to where you are. But then also part of the story is obviously where you're headed and what you're wanting to try and build. And I love that perspective.
100%.
So you mentioned before, and we talked about this a little bit offline. We said we're going to talk a little bit about it, but the business deals. Who, obviously, we're not going to talk about the who and the how much about the bankroll, but it's turned into something that hasn't been as rewarding as you've liked. It's been a thorn in regards to the project. How are you navigating that? Because don't worry, I've got a story to
I'm
tell as well, because we all
I'm
have a
literally,
fucking story.
if I think about it, I'm literally connecting the three A's. And if you look at a AAA battery, that'll keep you charged up and working, right? So the AAA is literally myself, you, and Alex. That's the three. So, they say good things come in three. And for me, I've had like the three names, and yeah, it's literally, I'm just making sure I have a connection with you and Alex because I've expressed to both of you in confidence, oh, it feels heavy. Oh, I feel some guilt. Oh, I need to trust the process. Oh, like I'm already telling you guys things that you already know and I already know. It's just I'm consciously aware that I need to keep a connection with my men that are in my lifetimes lineage, meaning the men that come from the warrior line ancestrally. I need to keep in contact with them. I don't want to burden my father with it because he's at an age where one of my biggest projects for self this year is to not be enmeshed with my father or with men. And I have a healthy attachment with you and Alex. So it's just, as we discussed earlier, noting that, okay, it went bad, not of my own volition. It was that I put my trust in someone that I didn't do my due diligence on. And so it's a matter of saying, okay, my goal is to do X, and to achieve X, I need to keep moving forward and do Y and Z, because otherwise I know that if I just sit there and be the victim or feel sorry for myself and don't actually keep taking action to resolve the problem, then the problem won't go away. And there's that other factor that we discussed, which was being really mindful in the process of eat, sleep, and train. Because I already noticed, Aaron, that in the period in which I commenced this project, because of that frustration with that one, let's just say entity, because I don't even want to say person. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's just say like legal entity, right? Because they're business deals. I put on so much weight, Aaron, and we know that we generally will store body weight from stress and pain. And literally, I did not have boundaries. I was carrying other people's problems, and literally, what you said, I was doing work for free. And whilst the Haven is non for profit, I am not the Haven. That was a huge lesson for me too.
Mm,
I am Aradia, and the Haven is its own separate entity, which members need to contribute to become a member. They don't just get in there for free. It doesn't say free on it, it says non for profit private members association. And that is its own collective where people just like me that want help can gain access, and then they can connect with the coaches that they feel drawn to. And that may be you, that may be Alex, that may be me, that may be, a lawyer that they need is in there. Really, the Haven is a collective of, just practitioners, humans that are on a higher, level of consciousness. I'm not, don't mean that to put anyone, down. It's just that certain people are put on this earth to help others. And, you and Alex and others that I know are those people that are there to help those that are in the dark.
And that's that value side of it. 100%. I love it. Like, we've all had bad business deals. A couple of years ago, I had a bad business deal that cost me 125 grand. So we've had
Wow.
so we've had the experiences. Now I can sit there and I can blame everyone for convincing me to make that decision that cost me 125 grand. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I've got to own it because I'm the one that signed the fucking deal. I'm the one that signed the dotted line. I'm the one that was responsible for that debt, that money. So all I know now, the lesson learned is trust my instinct, trust my gut, and don't rely on other people to help you get where you want to be. Which, again, in one part, when you look at where men are at, we're very isolated. We feel like we have to go, we have to attack life alone. So it's hard because it that's what I'm promoting to. You don't have to do life alone, but unfortunately, in this situation,
Correct.
you're kind of protecting yourself again. So it's an interesting one that I have to navigate through, and I am, and I'm navigating through it. But I think at the same time, also, it's that we've been guided, we've got intuition, we're always been showing the path. Sometimes we avoid it because we just want the shiny at the end, which, in this case, it was a $125,000 debt that cost me. So, but at the same time, also, it's like, okay, well, what's the lesson here? How can I move forward? So
Correct.
I love where the Haven is at, like bringing a collective of people together that just want to serve. But this is not a free service. And as much as I know there's a
Correct.
lot of people that are hurting, there still needs to be an exchange.
Exchange.
Yeah.
Correct. And it has to be monetary. It's just the way that, the earth plane works, Aaron, and that's what we've come up with. Some of it will be subsidized and there are different tiers and there will be free resources.
Mm,
But really, the only point of difference to other venues is that it's completely confidential because by design. Because you can't have perpetrators of violence, sitting in a room with a victim.
yep. Yep. And I
And
love it.
it's there to serve everyone.
Yep, and that's where it comes into that if you're constantly giving free, who we're going to attract? You're going to attract the vultures. So we've got to make sure we
Yep.
protect that as well and protect the space. So, okay, I love the concept where it's come from. In the immediate future, let's look at, between now and the end of the year. Like, how is this going to evolve? Where do you see this going? What do we have looking forward to between now and the end of the year?
Well, I'm very excited because I know between now and the end of the year, Caleb will drop a whole ton of those mini clips, which will be each piece will be a piece of the story. And we'll hopefully also have the book completely done over the line
Awesome.
so that you can, and I would recommend people listen to it. Maybe listen to it and then jump on and look at the version of it if you want to look at the evidence, because there'll be obviously evidence in the book that the audio book will refer to. And then going into 2026, which is our year of new beginnings, that's when the Haven will be in a position where members of our community can actually then join and start to actually connect with the people that they need to help them. And the Haven will, be a living, breathing, thriving entity because it's, it's there and you can find it online, although it can't serve at the moment. It doesn't
Mm.
have all the resources in it that members will need.
That's definitely something to look forward to, right? So where can people find not only the Haven, what's the web address? Like give us the info.
Yep. So for the book, so for my full story, that's at aradia.au. So I would recommend at this stage type it into the actual bar rather than search it, because if you search Aradia, you'll just get the gospel, meaning the actual historical Aradia. So aradia.au in the actual address bar. And if you want to see the Haven, go to thehavenau.org. Both of those websites are live. And the Haven and Aradia both have presence on social media as well.
Amazing. Amazing. I'm really excited for this project for you. I'm excited for
I'm
you.
excited.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I'm excited for the fact that the story is like, thank God, because it's like I was like so over it as well. So I'm grateful I have someone helping me with it. And then I'm excited more so for the Haven, because the Haven's where I also don't feel alone. Because in the Haven, I know is, all the people and all the things. And that's where it's like a breath of fresh air, Aaron. Like, you look at my story is like the devil wrote my story, and then you look at the Haven and it's like God wrote the Haven. Does that make sense? Like,
Yep.
it's the two polarities. Like,
Yep.
my life is literally hell, looking at hell, and looking at the Haven is like, God's looking at you.
Well, it is.
Well, it
It
is.
is.
I
People that
know,
listen to your story, it literally is.
I know, because
But
it drew the guy into the
yeah,
devil.
yeah. But I actually think it's a pretty cool story, because you're this mum, you're this woman who's gone through all of this. The other thing is that there's a lot of women that have gone through what you have gone through and are no longer here. So for you to come
Yeah,
out the other end, and to become a practicing lawyer, I mean, that's just, it's incredible in itself. All right. Love that. Love that story. I cannot wait till the next conversation. Can't wait till the next drop that you do.
no, looks
But
cool.
guys, yeah, so guys, do yourself an absolute favor. Give a radio a follow. Jump onto the Haven. Have a look at all the resources there. And yeah, can't wait for this story to evolve. Thank you so much.
Likewise.
Take care, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
Aaron.
you.